Congratulations, you set your first buyer's appointment. Now what? Well, that's perfect because in this video, we're going to go over what to do next. What's going on, everybody? Kyle Powers here with The Motivated Agent at eXp Realty. First off, thank you so much for checking out our channel. If you are looking for advice and tips and tricks on what to do in listing appointments, open houses, buyer presentations, whatever the world it may be, if it has to do with real estate, I like to go over it on this channel. So if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go and hit that little bell so you get notified of any future content, and give us that like just because it helps us grow this channel. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. We are going to go over the perfect buyer presentation and what you need to be doing while you are going through the process with a new buyer. So let's go and jump right in. The first thing that I always do whenever I go into a buyer presentation is I always have, number one, be ready. Just be ready. Just be prepared. Don't go in hair all disheveled and your shirt's untucked and you don't know what you're doing and office is a mess. I don't care what it is. Go in, be ready for it. I've done this. I will tell you guys this. I have done this so many times. I could do it in my sleep. Probably do if you were to ask my wife. But here's what I'll tell you. And I'll pull them up on the screen here as I go through and edit this video. But here's what I go through is I come in, I have it in a nice little stack. I have it sitting at my office. Yes, I always try to meet at the office. Why? Number one, if you're a female or male for that matter, it's for safety reasons. You want to get a feel for the person in an environment that you know, somewhere that you have people around you, somewhere where you have an opportunity to feel a person out and see if they are not going to be a good buyer for you, because they do exist. Either one, they're sketchy, two, you don't get a good vibe from them, then you don't have to be stuck in a house alone with them. You're in an office with agents. Be prepared, be mindful of what you're doing. So, number one, I always meet in the office. Obviously, there's special occasions on some of them, depending on a lot of different things, but for best practices, just go meet in an office. The other reason why is because I always like to sit at a table, just like if you checked out my listing presentation, always sit at a table, more professional, gives you more of an opportunity to have that conversation with these buyers and have an uninterrupted time. Not a coffee shop, you can do it at a coffee shop, but I would recommend doing it in an office. Don't do it at at their house or at the rental or anything like that, or at the back of a car. I've seen that. Heck, I've done that. But ideally, you're sitting in front of your computer or a computer. In my office, I have a big TV screen that I use as a computer screen. And that's what I use, and we use that to interact with on a bunch of different items as well. So first thing I go into is I have my commitment form, okay? This is literally a commitment form of how I commit to my clientele. Because here's the thing, we're here to sell. We're here to sell ourselves to these new buyers. And again, if you think, and I'm saying again because if you check out my other videos, I say this all the time, if you think that these buyers are not going and interviewing other agents to help them, you're crazy. I have this happen to me all the time where I always ask clients at the end of the day or whenever they do choose me, I'm like, hey, just out of my curiosity and to help me grow my business, why did you choose to utilize my services and with me and everything there? And every single time, I've always get people, I shouldn't say every single time, I always get people that say, oh, I liked your professionalism. Oh, I like the fact that you were in construction. Oh, I like the fact that you did this. Or I like the fact, whatever it is, starting that conversation, starting that relationship off right off the bat in a very professional manner, super, super important to do. So I always start with my commitment form. This one is, again, putting it on paper, showing them what we're doing. So what that looks like is we're going through our commitment form. And again, I'll pull it up on the screen for you. But what that looks like is, I'm going to setting them up on a custom automated home search. I'm going to be cross-checking the MLS to make sure that we are seeing their homes, getting information to them on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, whatever it is. I want to make sure that they know that I'm in their corner and fully representing them and taking care of them. Because that is one of the biggest things that buyers get into is they're like, okay, well, how am I going to do this? Especially first-time home buyers. They don't have a clue. They have no clue what's going on. So you're here to help. You're here to make it a better process, an easy process for them. We're not going to be perfect. We're not going to be able to help them out with every process of it all. But knowing that stuff and giving them our commitment to them At this point, I always bring up too, I commit very heavily to my clients. I wanna make sure that you have my personal cell phone number. The only time that I really ever shut down during the day is a time from about 6:30 to 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere in there. That's when I spend time with my family. I am a family man. I've got 2 kids and a wife that they like to spend time with me. Who knew? But that's the thing. And so I wanna make sure that they understand, as my clients, that they understand that I will commit to them very heavily. I will commit to texting them at night if they've got an issue, if they've got something going on. I'm telling them like, hey, these are my no call hours, my no texting hours. But if I'm texting you or if I'm getting back to you, then that means I'm available. So just don't expect anything unless it's that time or the next morning. Now, I am one of those addicted people that are one of those really messed up people that really enjoys what they do. So I'll probably pick my phone back up and I'll probably be texting at 9, 10 o'clock at night. So reach out, get a hold of me, let's see what you need, and we'll get you taken care of in that sense of it. But I want you to know, as my clients, that I commit very heavily to you because I want to make sure that you are taken care of. After I've gone over my commitment form, I always ask them, do you have any questions? Answer is always no, we're good. Again, the reason you're asking questions is because you want them to be engaged. And the other reason why I talk about my phone and all that kind of stuff is so that way they're not on their phones. So, because it does happen. But the next thing I run right into is probably one of my favorite things to go over is the timeline for buyers. Literally, it's a document, it's 10 bulleted points, mapped out, just kind of gives people the 30,000 foot view of what to expect when you're looking to buy a house. So again, I went over this thing last time in one of my other videos, but I'll kind of touch on it just briefly so that way you've got a decent idea of what to expect. But first step on the list is sign a buyer agency agreement. That's what we're here for today. We're kind of going over everything, making sure that you are fully protected in the buying process, making sure that you get my negotiating skills, my experience, and making sure that we get you taken care of, and making sure that I support you fully as a real estate agent and make sure that you are protected. Step number 2 is go through a pre-approval process. We want to get you in touch with a bank. We want to get you going through that process, making sure that you are pre-approved, because there's no reason to go look at a $500,000 house if you're only approved for $250,000. Okay, so we want to make sure you're talking to a bank, and if you've got a bank, great. We'll utilize that one. We'll make sure you get me that pre-approval, and we'll keep things rolling along. Number 3 is we'll start searching for houses. This could look like going on to Zillow, Realtor.com, the MLS, wherever it is, for sale by owners, whatever it is. That's you and I typically going through and searching for homes, okay? There's a wide range of how we can handle this, but that's the easiest way that we take care of it all. And in that process, once we go through and find your house, our 4th step is actually writing an offer, negotiating, or 5th step's negotiating, writing an offer. We go back, we look at comparables, we go through everything, and just kind of touch base on it and see what it is that you're looking for. You know, do we want closing costs? Do you want closing date negotiated? Do you want the price negotiated? What is important to you to make sure that we get you taken care of? Number 5 is negotiation. We go through that one. That's where I come in. I'm be able to help make sure that we get you the best deal that we possibly can. And then number 6, offer gets accepted. Congratulations, now the crappy stuff starts. But here's the deal. We're gonna go through all of that, and we're gonna go through and make sure that we get your offer accepted. Then our contingencies and all that stuff, the inspection period, appraisals, all that stuff begins. And then so that's when we start our inspection period. Number 7, we are meeting any contingencies and making sure that we get all of that stuff taken care of. Again, that's where we go over the inspection period. That's where we're getting the appraisal going. That's where we're getting all of that extra work going on. So during inspections, we want to make sure that we get you taken care of. I always recommend doing a whole house inspection, a termite inspection, and a radon inspection. And if you're not local to Kansas, that's where radon, it's an inspection that we do quite often here. So those are my 3 mains. And I'm always going over this stuff with these clients and making sure that we have them understanding. They're gonna be drinking like out of a fire hose, but you know what? We wanna make sure we get you taken care of. So going through that one, then at that point, we'll do financing contingency and get a bunch of things that way. And then we'll make sure we get a title work, okay? So step number 8 is making sure you have a title work. We wanna make sure you have a clean title, make sure there's no liens or anything on the house. Then step number 9 is going through the walkthrough. Okay, we want to go through that walkthrough in a day or two before the actual closing. We're going to go get eyes on the property, making sure that the house is still in good condition, same condition as what it is that we looked at it on. So number 10, we are going into closing. That's where you're going to be signing the documents on the dotted line and making sure you are buying a house. And that's the day you're going to get your new keys. So again, I always hit on that one. If you want to go in depth, give me a call, shoot me an email, let's get a hold of me. I can get you taken care of. But I can go way more in depth on a lot of that stuff. But I always tell them, like, that's a 30,000 foot view of what's going to happen. Each process is going to have about 10 more steps involved in it. But for today's purposes, this will give us a good idea of what to expect. And again, do you have any questions? Okay, so after I go through that piece of it, the next thing I always jump into is what I call my dream home form. Okay, this one is incredibly important. Incredibly important. Make sure you're going through and getting their information. Obviously, you probably have their phone number, their email, all that kind of stuff. That's not the information I'm talking about. Write it on there because you're going to want it later. But getting where do you want to buy? What neighborhoods? What price range? What bedroom count? What bathroom count? Go through all of that stuff. Ask them those questions. Have an actual conversation with them. Don't just be checking boxes on the list. Have an actual conversation with them and say, hey, okay, this is what I'm curious about. What are you thinking? You want a 3-bedroom or 4? Oh, you want a 4-bedroom? Is that for the kids or is that for an extra office? What are you thinking there? And again, having that conversation, and you know what? Listening. Back to listening. Paying attention to your clients. I know it seems very small thing, but it's so incredibly important. And then just don't be afraid to take notes. Take notes on it. If they say something that you want to remember, husband does this, wife does this, husband enjoys this, wife enjoys that, write it down. Because you're not going to remember. When you've got 20 clients out there that you're trying to remember everything on, you're not going to remember it. I can promise you that. So use this paper as kind of your initial one, the dream home form. Again, going through all of that stuff and making sure that you've got everything and anything that you may need to. And again, if you have questions or if you want to see this paperwork or anything, go ahead and subscribe, go ahead and hit that like, and go ahead and give me that, go ahead and hit that little bell so you get notified. But shoot me an email. I'll send you the editable version. You can take it, you can use it, change it, do whatever you want to. And if you have any questions about it or think I should add something to it, let me know on those too. Okay, because I'm not perfect on it, but I'm here to help. All right, next one I go over kind of lightens the mood a little bit, but it's more of I call it my duh moments. And that's literally what it is. That's really the biggest paperwork wise that I hit on. The next thing that I do, whether you've got a laptop, whether you're at a computer and looking at a TV screen, whatever works for you, the next thing that I really go over are the estimated closing costs. I hit every one of these because I want to make sure that those buyers understand what it costs to close on a house. If you have questions about this, let me know, but you need to be going over these things. So many times buyers have no idea what they're paying until they get to the actual closing table. That's not the time to know. No, that is not the time to know. Okay, and when I go through all of that, every time I tell them, I'm like, listen, this is an estimate. This is purely an estimate. You may not be going through and you may not be, this could change. This probably will change. Be ready for that. But this is an estimate. And then I sit there and I have a conversation with them. And typically 100% of the time, 98% of the time, everybody comes to me with an idea of one property. They're like, oh, we really like 123 Main Street. So that's where the computer comes in. You pull it up on the MLS and say, okay, based on these numbers, based on these things, your property is going to be this dollar amount. It's going to cost you this much to close. It's going to cost you this much per month with these rates, with these terms, with all of this stuff. Are you okay with that rate? Every time it's either, oh yeah, no problem. That's exactly what I figured it would be. Or typically it's oh shit, I didn't think it was going to be that much. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. We are here as real estate agents. We are here to raise the level of professionalism in our industry and educate people. I don't care if they've bought 10 houses. If you're selling more than 10 houses a year, you're more experienced than them. Hell, if you're selling more than 5 houses a year, you're more experienced because those 10 houses were probably sold over the last 30 years, bought and sold over the last 30 years. So just be aware and be able and willing to educate. Don't be afraid to tell them the bad news. People will respect you a hell of a lot more by you being upfront and honest with them versus them finding out at the closing table that their closing costs are $10,000 more or $500 more a month. And if you don't have a lender partner who's willing to help you out with that stuff, change lender partners. I promise you it will make your life so much easier in the long run. I promise you that. So if you guys have any questions, that's really kind of the quick and dirty of what I have for buyer presentation. But I encourage you, please leave a comment below, give me an email, shoot me a text, give me a call, whatever it is, get a hold of me. Again, my number is 785-477-5485. My email is kyle@homesforsalemhk.com. I am more than happy to send you anything you want, anything you've seen on the screen today. I will give you the editable versions. So do not hesitate to reach out. Again, I'm Kyle Powers with The Motivated Agent. We're here to raise the level of professionalism in the real estate industry. Hope you guys have a good day and I hope you enjoyed the video.